Happy Thursday, everybody. Josh here, on the wrong lead, joined as always by Mr. Andrew Champagne for another episode of Drank and Champagne. This is the Saratoga opening weekend edition, where we're actually not going to talk any specific races, but Andrew, I figured it'd be good to talk a little bit about just all the stuff we're going to be doing in the next couple weeks. And I'll let you every couple episodes. I'd like to let you wax poetic about something. And if there's one thing I know you love to wax poetic about, it's definitely Saratoga Springs, New York. So, but before we get into that, Andrew, how's your week been? How are you doing?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm doing a lot better now that I've realized my Lazio shirt actually matches the blue on our stream and on the On the Wrong Lead logo. That was completely and totally not planned at all whatsoever, but it's a nice, happy coincidence. Fun fact, I got this jersey. Very nice, Josh. Josh wearing the On the Wrong Lead t-shirt, which I believe you can buy somewhere. I believe the link may well be down in the description for that. Having said that, I got this jersey when in Rome, because when in Rome, you must do as the Romans do and support a Roman soccer team. Well, I went to the AS Roma store. First of all, didn't much like the colors, and stuff fit me sort of weirdly because I'm built a little bit differently than most Europeans are as far as them being shorter and a lot skinnier. I'm sort of a freak. Went to the Lazio store. This fits me like a glove, and I like the color a little bit more too. So we're off to a good start there, at least from an aesthetic perspective, as aesthetically sound as I go in my I haven't shaved in 4 days current state of mind. But things have been busy. Things are good, but they're busy. The Alameda County Fair at Pleasanton just finished up. Could not possibly be more grateful to the folks there for another year of me doing some seminars and doing a lot of handicapping for them. That was always a blast. My dad was out here for 4th of July weekend. He was up on the stage with me for several days. That was really cool. He's making plans actually to come out here for Breeders' Cup weekend, where the plan is going to be to head to the Alameda County Fair in Pleasanton because, hey, they'll have race dates for this fall. So that's going to be a lot of fun there. We're finishing up the Hong Kong season. I am coming in off of one of the more brutal days of the season for me, where my top picks ran 0 for 9 with 4 seconds and 2/3. I'm giving out live horses. They're just not winning. And if you didn't see the finale, one guess who I had once you see the stretch run. I thought Romantic Lao was home at odds of 8-1 in the 9th at Happy Valley. That one's going to sting for quite a long time. Yep, pretty much. Shatin finishes out the season on Sunday. So if you're up late on Saturday or early on Sunday, either way works. I'm not here to judge people. Take a look at that. A lot of really high quality racing going on there. And of course, when you talk about high quality racing, we cannot ignore the track that's immortalized behind me on my set, Saratoga Race Course. They start the summer meet on Thursday. Josh, I need to float this by you really quickly. And that is, does it feel weird knowing that we were just there last month and handicapping races there last month?
You know, this whole year has just felt weird. So, yeah, the fact that we have, we're going back to Saratoga and, we're going to be live there, or tomorrow, actually, or today, if you're listening to this on Thursday. We're obviously recording this on Wednesday night. But, yeah, it feels like everything snuck up on us this year. And I think part of it is because of the Belmont Stakes being at Saratoga. It kind of broke up, I think, the summer racing calendar a little bit. And we had that brief week there at Saratoga. We had a very, very good week with just great racing. I mean, full fields. It was everything you want Saratoga to be. And so we kind of got a little bit of a, I guess, Saratoga preview that week. And so, yeah, it definitely does feel a little bit weird having gone there, gone back to Aqueduct, and now we're back here to Saratoga, and yeah, it feels a little weird. I'm interested to see what the first couple weeks look like, field wise, and race wise. Like, what are we going to see? I know there's been some chatter, I think specifically from Chad Brown, talking a little bit about the races that have kind of been carted.
He's said a lot, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of been a weird year with the schedule, with the calendar, and yeah, it does feel a little odd. This completely snuck up on me. I actually recorded with the Wolf of Oaklawn, Chase Sessoms, last week, good friend of ours, and he said something like, "We are only 7 days away from Saratoga,
We
or
are?
6 days away from Saratoga," and I think I messaged Caleb afterwards. I'm like, "Caleb, is this right?" And Caleb even was like, "No, we have a whole nother week." And yeah, this just really, really snuck up on us. And at least for me personally, right? There's been a lot of stuff going on. I mean, Andrew, you've been very busy professionally. You've been all over the place, right? You're almost as many places as Matthew DeSantis is. I know he's plastered all
Almost.
over.
It's a lofty goal and aspiration, but we're going to get there someday. We're going to get there.
But I had a week vacation with my family. I just got back from Vegas last night, and we'll talk a little bit about that trip. Because I think people like hearing about Vegas. I think, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, this just completely snuck up on us to the point where Mark Capitan himself, he reached out to me and Caleb and was like, "All right, what's our content strategy for Saratoga?" And it's something we're going to talk about a little bit right now. And I was just like, crap, that's in like 3 days. Like, we really need to figure this out.
You really put a lot of thought into this content strategy, didn't you?
Well, I mean, it's not going to be much different, I think, than what we're normally doing. But we've tried a couple different things over the last couple of years. Mark was putting out a daily video for a while. We were doing weekly stuff. We were doing Saturday streams. Those might be coming back. I got to talk with the guys about that. Doing the more live betting stuff. It seems like a lot of people really like that type of content. And yeah, we got a couple things cooking. But most importantly, the weekly streams. Those are coming back Thursday nights. So we got the first one obviously coming on up tonight, Thursday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not, come take a look. And obviously, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, do all that stuff. If you're listening to this on the podcast, come to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hey, just subscribe to us on the podcast. Don't even listen to it. Download it. I don't care if you listen to it. That kind of stuff just helps us out. But yeah, Andrew, I mean, completely caught me by surprise. Feels weird coming back here. You feel the same way, or is it just me?
Weird isn't necessarily the right word, but it's a bit of a different feeling this time around, to where, okay, the Belmont being at Saratoga was the best possible plan B imaginable. It worked outstandingly well for everything everybody ever wanted from it. I don't think there's any way in which the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga was not a smashing success. And there are some people out there that I believe were rooting for it to fail because the Belmont was not a mile and a half. It's never going to be a mile and a half, folks. Relax. Speaking of which, that should be like the general thing for any sort of Twitter disagreement. Relax.
You're going to go all Aaron Rodgers on us?
Hang on. So just to be clear as to what I'm talking about with regard to relaxing. Yeah. If you're out there and you think Naira not taking cash anymore is an assault on freedom, I actually saw this theory. The theory that someone put forth out there was that cash is a form of freedom, and that if you're not taking cash, you are attacking freedom and the American way of life. Listen, I'm not huge on the decision to do away with cash completely. I don't love the idea. Having said that, an assault on freedom? We're going all the way to assault on freedom? Guys, horse racing Twitter needs to calm down. And I say that as someone who, without horse racing Twitter, I would not be here. Horse racing Twitter needs to calm the hell down about a lot. And I'll leave it right there. But having said that, Saratoga is always special. It always is. It is the summer place to be, regardless of the nonsense about credit cards and cash and all of that other stuff. Because guess what? No matter how angry you are, unless you are a dedicated FanDuel Racing or TVG customer, you're playing Saratoga with both fists. Let's not kid ourselves. Regardless of that, though, we've got a couple of very good cards to start the meet. Hope the weather cooperates. As we record this, it is after midnight on the East Coast. The remnants of Beryl are bearing down on upstate New York. By the way, why did we name a hurricane Beryl? You know a Beryl, Josh?
No.
I have never met a Beryl in my life. National Weather Service, what are we doing here? Regardless of that, though, assuming that races stay on the turf, which is no lock. If races stay on the turf, the Thursday card is a heck of a card. And even if the races come off the turf, there are some races that I think are very interesting. There is a mid-race double that I gave betting strategies for on, wait for it here, my new tip sheet, which is available at winnersandwhiners.com. For $5 every day, I'll be analyzing a different multi-race sequence each particular day. Some days it'll be pick threes, some days it'll be pick fours, pick fives. On this particular occasion, I went with a double solely because it was 2 consecutive dirt races with big fields. So I wanted to make sure that we had something that had good field sizes and good payoff potential. So double it was, races 5 and 6. You can go to Winners and Whiners, hit the expert picks button, find me there. $5 a day, it's not going to break the bank for you. And hopefully I'll be able to make y'all some money on that. Friday's card, I am most of the way through. That's actually going to be what I do after we wrap up recording here. I got to finish Friday. I got to wrap up Friday. I got to figure out what the heck I'm doing for tip sheets on Friday. And then we get to worrying about the first Saturday, which is anchored by the Diana and one of our favorite horses in training, Josh. Diddy is back, baby!
Against 5, was it 5 Chad Brown horses in that race?
Get excited for the other Chad.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I think I got that right. I think that was the correct amount of others.
Yeah, I saw the field, and I saw Didia, and I was like, single. Obviously, I'll take a closer look for the stream tomorrow.
What a fun horse she is, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
She always shows up. And honestly, there have been a number of horses from that barn that always seem to show up. Blue Prize being one of them. All she did was win a Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Yeah, it's funny. Didia reminds me a little bit of my friend Dave's favorite horse, I think, of all time, Warlike Goddess. Another one that just shows up all the time, runs her race. Obviously, recently won a race. What, last week?
Delaware Park, yeah.
Yeah. So just a real cool horse that runs a couple times a year and runs all the big races, and it seems like Didia is kind of turning into that as well, running basically anywhere and everywhere. So love that horse, and has made me a bunch of money. Obviously on Belmont weekend made me a bit of money, and I think Mark made a ton of money as well. I think he had a nice big double there. So
Pegasus World Cup day too. That horse wound up winning a pretty big race at a little bit of a price. She never goes off favored. She's always in that 4-1, 5-1, 6-1 sweet spot range, and she always runs big. I'm not complaining though. If you don't like her, by all means, bet other horses. Please bet other horses.
Yeah. So it's going to be a cool card to take a look at. Opening weekend usually is really good. It's usually that second or third week that sometimes can get a little dicey. So we'll see how these cards hold up. I remember last year just not having the greatest start, and obviously last year's meet was just cursed in general, and don't really
and not in the fun Danhausen-y kind of way. If you get that reference, you're listening to the correct podcast.
Yeah, it's honestly to the point where I just don't even really want to talk about last year's meet. I want to forget that it happened. So
if anyone, and I mean anyone, has any reason to never want to revisit the 2023 Saratoga meet, this guy right here.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a ton of fun, and like I said, we'll be back to our normal schedule. You know, we're doing drinking champagne. I have to talk to Matt. Obviously, with Sha Tin wrapping up, you've got to be Sha Tinning me. Might need to take a couple months off, but Matt and I are just have a lot of fun doing a podcast. So we might switch to something else. We'll that's still pending. We'll figure that out. But
I mean, you could start handicapping Maryland, and then your podcast could be "Don't Rest on Your Laurel." You got a better idea?
I don't know.
I thought that was pretty good for right off the top of the head.
I feel like you've been sitting on that for a couple of weeks.
No, I really haven't. Believe it or not, there have been other things that have demanded my attention over the last couple of weeks, namely horses going clockwise in Hong Kong and horses going counterclockwise in Pleasanton.
Yeah. You mentioned Breeders' Cup earlier, and there's a non-zero chance I end up at Breeders' Cup.
Wow, you'll actually be in my home state. Wow.
Cool. So here's the deal. I'm basically trying to plan out the rest of my year as far as trips are concerned. I probably want to take probably three trips, one of them being racing related. So couple of choices. Obviously, there's Saratoga that last week of the meet. Problem with that is that Saratoga is very expensive to stay at, and I outside of you, I don't really know who's going to be there. And normally
Matt and Sarah are offended.
Well, of course, maybe Matt and Sarah are always going to be there.
Be careful. I'm going to send Sarah after you, and she's going to start throwing things.
But But the reason why I'm saying is that it's prohibitively expensive to stay as a single anywhere. When you do an Airbnb and you're able to split it 3, 4, 5 ways, you can usually get a bit of a deal, especially when you want to stay for the entire week. So that is still on the radar, but I think it's probably a little bit lower on the priority list because Caleb happened to spike a Breeders' Cup seat last weekend. So shout out to Caleb. And so he's going to be going. He was already planning on going, but now he's qualified for the BCBC through NYRA and through the NYRA Bets contest. So that was that was awesome for him. I think he basically had a $25,000 day with the prize money, the cash, and the BCBC
question here, and because I need to make sure that I have this story correct. Did this day by any chance involve a mispunch?
It depends who you ask. As far as Caleb will tell you his dad liked the horse. But
so
let's
is
just
he giving
say
his dad half of the BCBC entry?
Well, honestly, they do. Yeah, they split entries all the time. So
cool. My dad and I do similar with pick fours. I just wanted to make sure because if he's trying to blame that on his dad, then his dad gets half the credit.
Yeah,
that's just the way it works. I don't make the rules. I just cite what they are.
However, I will only say that is Caleb's story, and that's what he's sticking to.
Well, what I will say is, first of all, congratulations to our friend Caleb. Also, with him going to the Breeders' Cup and the Breeders' Cup being in Southern California, he doesn't have to bring his own lighting kit to follow him around and make him look good. It's Southern California. Those are basically growing on trees down there.
You know what? I'm a little concerned for him because I don't know how much time he spent in California, but Caleb goes from being, the most handsome man in racing to, maybe only top third, top third, he's just another
dude. Just another dude.
He's just another dude in California, Southern California, right? I don't know if he's going to be able to handle that. Yeah, no, he awesome for him. Mark is planning on buying in as well. I do not have that type of bankroll to play with, so I will not be playing in the BCBC. But with both those guys going, and it sounds like they're going to do a big Airbnb. That that seems like a better plan for this year to do for my racing trip. And then obviously the other thing is that I tend to usually do a weekend in Kentucky Downs, and we usually do the week after Labor Day, the weekend after Labor Day. So it was going to be kind of tough to go to Saratoga for a whole week, Labor Day weekend, and then basically come back, work for a couple days, and fly back out for Kentucky Down. So I'm just all that is still kind of up in the air, but I'm excited. I've never been to Del Mar, so I really really want to get out there, especially with next year we're planning on going out to California as well in the summer for another big event. And my wife is insisting that we go to Disneyland as well as part of that trip.
Josh, you might want to tell her that that's in the other part of California.
Oh, we're aware. We're aware.
Okay.
There's going to be
I just
another
wanted to
flight.
make sure. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
want
yeah,
there
yeah,
to be
yeah.
any hopes that like there were like that where this event is next door to Anaheim.
No, no.
Okay.
It's going to be weekend there and then fly to Anaheim.
Okay.
Weekend there.
Gotcha.
Or a couple
That
days
makes
there.
sense.
So
I wanted to make sure everybody knew what they were getting into.
no, trust me. She's got a plan already. She's a
Okay,
planner.
good. It's good to know that there's at least one planner in the Rodriguez household.
Well, it's funny because I was like, hey, maybe we can see maybe Del Mar's gonna be running, maybe something else will be running. Like I was trying to sneak another track trip in there, and
Well,
she's
what
like,
I will say
absolutely
is
not.
I'm going to say this here. So the day after this big, massive, super exclusive, super secret event, there are going to be two things planned. Someone has decided that there are going to be enough people to do a trip to a private Orange Theory fitness class the
Oh
day
God,
after this event.
absolutely not.
The other person involved in this event, however, is going to be bringing people to the Alameda County Fair and racing at Pleasanton.
I
With
have
the
also warned my wife about this.
Yes, with the understanding that when people go, they fill the chairs at the handicapping seminar located outside of the Alameda County Fair grandstand. And I have already warned the co-hosts of this event that there will be a ridiculous hodgepodge of horse racing people, the likes of which have never been seen before at the Alameda County Fair and may never be seen again, depending on who winds up coming from the Eastern time zone.
Yeah, it's yeah. I warned her about that as well.
We're going to
So,
have fun. We're going to
yeah.
have fun. And I got to tell you, I may very well push Pleasanton for this special occasion to do one of my great all-time brilliant ideas,
Oh no.
which is an all-breed pick four. Mules, quarter horses, Arabians, thoroughbreds. There would be precisely two people in the entire country that would wager on that sequence. It would be me and Pete Aiello. That's it.
Oh man. Yeah, it's it'll be fun, but so we got that plan for next year. So, I was hoping to maybe try and sneak another track trip in California because I don't know. As far west as I normally get is Vegas, so which is where I just got back from
Yeah,
last weekend.
speaking
But
of Vegas, you're alive. My God, that sounded horrible these past couple of days.
yeah, so Vegas, man, 120 degrees was the record high, I believe, on Monday, and when Monday was the day that my friend was renewing his vows with Elvis, and so we got picked up in a limo, and let's just say this limo has seen better days. It's a gold
It's
limo.
Vegas. Most limos have seen better days there.
It was a gold limo, and it was had the wedding chapel's name on the side. And when we get into the limo, there is golden nugget branding all on the inside. So clearly a secondhand limo. Perfectly fine, right? A lot of stuff, limos, furniture, all this stuff, right? It gets passed down all the time. That's nothing crazy about it. But our driver was like, "Yeah, the AC is really struggling with this heat." She was saying that the dash was actually saying it was 126 degrees outside.
Oh, great.
When she says the AC is struggling, that sucker was blowing out hot air.
Oh,
It was not blowing out any kind of cold air, and it was pretty rough. But luckily, you know, we basically stayed inside the entire trip. On we got into town Friday night, and we landed. We do the electronic check-in, so we basically go straight up to our room, put our bags down. We sit down for about 10-15 minutes. It's probably about 9 o'clock Vegas time, 9:30ish. And we hit Circa. We just go straight. We were staying at Park MGM, and we're like, all right, we're not going to gamble here at all. We're going to go just downtown for one night. And so we go straight to Circa. And our plan was gamble, drink, and get pizza. Well, let's say we did the first two things. We gambled and we drank. And then, I asked my wife, what time's the pizza place open till? And she said, oh, it was open till 1:30. I'm like, what do you mean open till 1:30? Thinking it's like 11 o'clock. It was pushing 2 a.m. at that point.
oh boy.
And I mean, just the night just like got away from me. And my wife's like, yeah, I didn't really want to say anything because it seemed like you're having a good time. We were gambling, we were drinking. I had some free play and I had some resort or food and beverage credit. So we went to the bar there, the Vegas Vicky bar that they have in Circa. Great craft cocktails, just awesome bartenders. We had some really really good cocktails there on the house because I had some credit there, and then had some free play, and we just played at Circa till probably. I mean, I don't think we went to bed till about 3 o'clock in the morning. We got back to Park MGM probably around 2:30. Immediately went to the late night food spot, got food there, and went up to the room. And so I don't know. I was back up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I went down to gamble some more. But
This is how I know I'm getting older, because I hear bed at 3, up at 7:30, and I'm just like, that doesn't sound fun.
yeah, I gambled. I was playing a ton of craps this trip. Mostly electronic stuff, or all electronic stuff. I didn't play any table games this time, just because it's crazy. I saw $15 craps maybe twice on the trip, and the rest of the time it was at 25. And if it was 15, it was crapless, which is fine. But like, I don't know. It's when I play the machines at $5. I generally have between 45 and, depending how long the roll's going, if I'm pressing, I could have upwards of $100 on the table. And just thinking that if I was playing $15, that my main bet with odds and stuff, I would probably be sitting at about $150. That's just way too steep for me, and what I'm comfortable playing. I think if I could find $10, I would maybe take a shot, but $10 has basically disappeared from the strip. I hear that Flamingo and some of the cheaper Caesars properties does spread $10 crap sometimes, but I didn't see anything lower than 15 at Park MGM, and I didn't really check at any of the cheaper properties, but had a good time. And after hearing about Caleb's win and me calling him a complete luck box, he cursed me and he said, "I hope you .7 for the rest of the trip."
Why would
And
you say that?
I
Like,
mean,
why would you wish that on anybody in Vegas? That is the worst sort of gambling karma I think I have ever heard in my life. And for Caleb to say that after we congratulated him on his success, after we reveled in the fact that one of our friends won a seat to a highly exclusive handicapping tournament, Caleb, what the hell, man?
yeah, it was rough, and for
You
a
know how bad a
second,
situation has to be for me to defend Josh?
and yeah, for a second, my luck did take a turn, but honestly, no, gambling actually went really well for me. And when I looked at my statement at the end of the trip, I was actually up $200. I think at Circa I lost $200, so I think my net balance was like $13 profit.
There you go.
Obviously, I was down probably about $300 from just like tipping
Right.
and from giving my wife money. There was one we were sitting at well, a lot of times if we're playing slots, I'll put money in and we'll sit down and we'll sit down one of the bigger machines that have the two seats, and we'll kind of just take turns, playing. Well, we're sitting at a Price is Right machine, and she hits the button and the things spin, and Drew Carey comes out on the screen and starts doing something, and all of a sudden you see 2x symbol, 2x symbol, 2x symbol, and I turned to her. I'm like, I think you just hit a jackpot. And sure enough, it was a 25-cent machine. I think we were betting like $1.25 of a spin or something. $250. So I cashed that voucher out. I gave her $100, and I was like, "Here you go. Now you can gamble on this." My wife, not a big gambler. That $100 probably lasted her the entire trip. But yeah, it was a good time. Very fun. We had a lot of good food. Finally got to eat at Carbone. I was stalking the reservations for that, and was a very, very good meal. Highly recommend it. It is very expensive, and we just ordered way too much food, which made it even more expensive. But we ate there. We ate at Catch. We ate at Momofuku. All really good meals. And yeah, we just had a good time. And honestly, it was one of the best trips we've had. We were able to relax. We had a spa day. We saw the last show at the Mirage for the
Oh,
Beatles'
man.
Love. It was the last show that they had, and I'll tell you, we've seen the show once before, and it was maybe half of the theater was open, and then it was half full. So
Wow.
the theater was probably a quarter full, and this was probably about 2-3 years ago. It was post pandemic ish.
Yeah.
So let's say 2021 is 2022, where it still really wasn't 100%, but for the most part, everything was still open. Um, and yeah, it was probably a quarter full. This time when we saw the show, the entire theater was open and every single seat was full. And I'll tell you, the energy in that room was crazy. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen. And it was just like one of those like one once in a lifetime things, right? This show is more than likely never going to come back, and to be able to see the last show was something else. There were people in costumes. The performers were really into it. They were, egging on the crowd, trying to get everyone pumped, and it was just a really, really cool experience. The Mirage has definitely seen better days. When I went in there, I'll say maybe about a third of the machines were turned off. We were thinking about sitting there and playing a little bit, but it was so packed. I mean, when we got in line for Love, the line went basically from the Love Theater all the way to the lobby, and
Jeez.
and people were just like, "What is this line for?" and it was just crazy. And I saw some pictures today about the madness at Mirage because it's closing, I believe in a week. They have to pay out all the progressives.
Yep.
It's Nevada law. So what I think the plan is that some of the machines that have progressives are keeping on some of the things, but then they're doing like giveaways and stuff of some of the other progressives. Like they're just doing like, if I don't know how they're doing it, but my friend Andrew Capone, I know he said he's got a buddy who's going in just for the Mirage closing to try and catch one of these progressives. So yeah, it's sad what's happening. We were thinking about maybe trying to catch one of the the last volcano shows, but it was so damn hot. We were just like, we just wanted to get back to the room.
It
So
felt like a volcano, yes, by all
yeah,
accounts.
exactly.
So, couple of things here. First of all, it's awesome you got to go to that show. That's incredible. That's something you're going to remember for a really long time. The Mirage and I have a love-hate relationship with one another. My very first trip to Las Vegas came when I had just turned 21 years old. I had busted out of a poker tournament at Harrah's, and I hadn't been to Mirage yet. So I walked across the street just to look around, and they had a $5 blackjack table. I texted my dad just to let him know where I was, just saying, hey, come find me here. The gentleman who was dealing blackjack and clearly having an awful, awful day looks up at me. I hadn't even sat down yet. I was about 5 or 10 feet away from a seat. And he yells, "Don't you even think of doing that at my table." Sane, rational people would have, in this instance, realized, okay, there are about 20,000 casinos within a half-mile radius that I can spend my gambling money at. I am not sane nor rational. I said, okay, game on. I sat down for one shoe and I decimated him. At a $5 table, I walked away after 20 minutes or so, up $80. The last hand, he got me with a 4 or 5 card 20, looks at me with this "I've got you now" look as they prepare to shuffle the cards, and I push my chips in and ever so sweetly say, "Color me up, please." And he had that exact look that you have on your face right now, Josh, the really, really look. Like, this guy was not winning at life on that particular day. And that felt pretty good. I didn't go back in there for another 10 years or so. I went back in because I had to. I was in Vegas during the World Cup, the Men's World Cup for soccer. And that was the day that a lot of the Caesars properties had sports books that went down. Of course, BetMGM properties stayed up. So my dad and I are at the Flamingo Sportsbook waiting for something to change. And I'm going, okay, it's not coming back on before the start of the game. If I want to bet, I've got to go across the street. Walked in. People could not have possibly been nicer. Had a bunch of great conversations. They were well aware of everything that was going on at half of the casinos in town. And I think someone told them, listen, we gotta nail this. We've got an opportunity here. Let's make the most of it. I wound up betting the USA +1 goal over England. It was a draw. I wound up winning, and I attempted to lead the Flamingo Sportsbook in a chorus of, "I believe that we will tie. I believe that we will tie." It didn't take, don't worry. Both my father and a former coworker looked at me and rolled their eyes, which is a common refrain. But I'm going to miss the Mirage. I really liked the old Hard Rock, the one off the strip. That is the place of one of the best blackjack tables I have ever been at. It was me, 2 pitchers from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater baseball team, and we were about 10 yards away from dancer auditions. Fill in the blanks on that. So, yeah, we were there pretty much all day. But I loved that Hard Rock. That place slowly went downhill. It's now something else completely. They're moving the guitar to on the strip. I'm going to miss the volcano. I understand why the guitar needs to be there. I'm going to miss the volcano.
Yeah, it's a shame that is the resort that's going to be going away. It was one of my favorite places to go when it was part of the MGM book of business. We have been very much in the MGM ecosystem since I basically started going to Vegas. The first couple times I went, we went. I think we stayed at Then Bally's. Obviously, it's the Horseshoe now, and then I stayed, I believe, at the Link after that, and they gave me a couple of free rooms, and then I don't know how it happened, but we ended up staying. Maybe it was at the Luxor once, and they gave me free room. MGM gave me free rooms, having not stayed there, but just played there on one of my trips. And I told my wife, "Oh, let's give them a try." So the next trip that we stayed there, and mind you, at this point, I was maybe bringing $100 a day. So for like 4-day trip, I was literally bringing $400 with me, like, which is not much for a gambling budget in Vegas. And after my first trip there, and since then, they've given me 4 nights comped, and some free play and some food and beverage credit, and I just haven't looked back. Where Caesars will occasionally give me free rooms, but no free play, no food and beverage credit, and it's I just haven't had a bad time staying at an MGM property, from the low end at Excalibur all the way to, I haven't stayed at Bellagio, but I've stayed basically everywhere else. But the Mirage was always a great, hey, let's take an Uber, let's go see the other side of the strip. We'll go up to Mirage, and it always smelled nice in there. It was always a fun casino to go to, and yeah, it's gonna be missed for sure.
Yep. So you haven't stayed at Bellagio yet. The goal, I think, for anybody in our position is to make enough money to one day have them bring us the button at Bellagio. That button is the button that controls the fountains. I remember reading that every push of that button costs several $1,000s. But just the ability to push that button one time.
There was a video I watched, and I don't remember if it was BuzzFeed or if it was I know the people who were in it. It's a gentleman by the name of Keith. He's part of a group called the Try Guys, and I don't remember if this was when he was, like, so long ago. It was when he was with BuzzFeed, or it was post post BuzzFeed, which he was the Try Guys or whatever. But you can find it on YouTube. Just search for like Keith's bachelor party or something like that, and I'm sure you'll find it. And part of this bachelor party, he got to hit the button, and they let him pick the music.
Oh wow!
And it was June or July, and he picked Santa Baby, and they told him no. And he was like, "Oh, come on!" And they're like, "Unfortunately, we can only play that in December." And he thought he was going to be hilarious playing Santa Baby. So I forgot what song he ended up playing, but it's
nobody was hurrying down the chimney tonight. That's the important thing.
No. But it was it was a fun video. They've done. Those guys at Try Guys, they've done a couple of fun little, like, Vegas related Vegas videos. They did one actually where they did a, like, scavenger hunt, and, like, one of the things in the scavenger hunt was, like, witness a wedding by Elvis, and they were actually, I believe, at the chapel that we were at. So it was pretty funny.
Full circle.
Yeah. But yeah, fun video, but yeah. I don't know. I think that's going to do it for us here on Drank and Champagne. But Andrew, I do want to give you time to recap kind of where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing here with Saratoga.
Sure. So Saratoga, I'm going to be in a lot of different places. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see right behind me. I'm going to be in the Pink Sheet. Good to be back for the summer meet. We'll leave that one right there. I'll be also doing some stuff for Winners and Winers, which is my day job. I'm the senior editor of that site. I will be doing tip sheets every day for different multi-race exotic sequences. For Thursday, for instance, I'll be looking at a midday double, races 5 and 6. If you want to take a look at my betting strategies for that, it'll cost you $5. I'm not looking to break the bank with any of this. I'm not going to put something out that's a bonkers price. But if you want something a little bit different from me, that looks at one specific sequence where I have strong opinions, this is going to be what you want. So ultimately what I'm trying to do is put stuff out there that appeals to as many different kinds of horse players as I can. There's no one perfect thing for what horse players want, but I'm giving top 3 selections in the pink sheet. I'm giving analysis of every race in the pink sheet. I'm giving bankroll stuff in the pink sheet. And I'm doing a tip sheet for Winners and Winers that discusses a multi-race exotic sequence. I don't think there's many bases I'm missing. Let's put it that way. I'm going to be very busy with that stuff. You can see everything at andrewschampagne.com. That's the best place to take a look. If you're not in Saratoga and unable to pick up a pink sheet, I'll have links to everything in every one of the articles that I have for 40 days of action at the spa. You can also tune in to the Hong Kong Jockey Club's feed on Sunday at Sha Tin. It's closing day. I'll be there with my selections and analysis prior to every race. Shout out to the fine people that were able to make that happen over the last 6 weeks or so. It's been a blast working with some of the best people in the business at what they do. That's been a lot of fun, and that came out of absolutely nowhere. I'll always be appreciative to the people that were able to make that happen. There's a lot going on here. There's going to be a lot going on here between now and Labor Day. We haven't even discussed Del Mar yet. I mean, there is so much happening here. It's a good time to be a racing fan. It's a good time to be excited, and there is a lot to be excited about. There are times where you look at a racing form and you go, am I really looking forward to playing the races today? More often than not over the next 2 months, that answer is heck yeah.
Yeah, and obviously we will be live here Thursday nights, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on YouTube. We'll be having shorts content coming out for Saratoga and Del Mar. Videos will be posted. We're going to try and revisit some of our tutorial stuff. So we'll have a lot of stuff going on here. But obviously, like and subscribe. Stay up to date on all of our content here. Follow us on Twitter at @wrong_lead. I'm at Cherry Drink. Andrew is at Andrew Champagne. Let's have a great weekend and let's make some money, guys.